It's Danny Flexon here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by Unbeaten Irish lightweight Gary Cully. Gary, how you doing?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for asking. Good day in the gym. So got a little bit of lunch. First session done, a little bit of lunch, and then for the second. So yeah, all's good, Pat.
And in that gym, you're working with Peter Taylor, of course, renowned coach for years now. What's it like with him? What's the relationship like?
Yeah, I've been with Pete nearly 6 years now. So since I turned professional, and I believe every camp and every fight we're improving more and more. We're getting to know each other. The bond is growing more and more. So I believe I've come on leaps and bounds. Obviously, since I first started with Pete and first met him, and every camp, like I said, we're improving on different aspects of my game. And yeah, it's been great. It's been great because I believe he's one of the best in world boxing. So no better person to learn from for me. And yeah, it's exciting. Every day in the gym, we're learning something new, so it's all good.
Did you work with Pete in the amateur days as well?
Bits and bobs. When I would have had different coaches on the national team, and he would have been popping in and out when he coached Katie when she was on the national team. So I would have seen quite a lot of them, but not knowing him on a personal level really like I do now. So, but I would have done like bits and bobs of sparring with Katie and stuff like that. So yeah, I would have crossed paths with him.
And one of the main reasons we're talking today is that you've just signed an extension to your deal with Matchroom. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But given how much you achieved as an amateur, how talented you clearly are you surprised it took so long for one of the major promoters, TV promoters, to pick you up?
Yeah, maybe so. I've been putting in, like I said, I'm 5 years pro now. This is my 6th year going in as a professional, and I've been putting in big performances over the past 5 years. Stepped up and won the Irish lightweight title, first round knockout. WBO European was the second round knockout. So I've been putting in big performances, and people kind of in the industry and in boxing circles have known my name for quite a while. So yeah, it was just about sticking to it and persevering and staying consistent with it. And I knew eventually that one of the big promoters would come in for me, and thankfully we're here now and I've got that opportunity. So
yeah, with that in mind, you were creating a massive buzz around the boxing scene, as you alluded to there. The Kotochikov win, especially, I remember being a really big deal at the time. Great knockout. And then we know, obviously, MTK, who you were working with at the time, they folded early last year. How did you feel when you knew that avenue had come to an end? Were you worried that, you might not get picked up by someone else?
I've always believed that the cream rises to the top, and that if you're talented enough, that you will eventually get picked up. And for me, like I said, it was about staying consistent. Obviously, that time was quite difficult. I had no promoter, no management, so didn't know when I'd be fighting next. And yeah, I didn't know when my next fight would come along. So it was a couple of months there from the Vasquez fight in March till I got signed in at the end of July with Matchroom, where it was difficult because I didn't know when I was fighting, but I had to stay consistent and had to stick in the gym. And I did believe I knew it would come right at some time. And thankfully, like I said, Matchroom came in and gave me the opportunity. And obviously, I put in the big performance on my debut, and we've extended the deal now. So yeah.
Do you kind of feel that pressure when you're going in against someone like Vasquez, very experienced, former world champion? A lot of people felt he was unlucky a couple of times in the UK before to kind of go out and perform. Because like you said, you had no manager, you had no future mapped out at that point. Do you feel going in, I have to do a job on this guy?
Yeah, I kind of seen it. I've said in a couple of interviews before, I seen it as like it was nearly like a trial, like if you get a trial for a football team, because I hadn't been signed up Matchroom, obviously, and Eddie just gave me an opportunity to jump on that card and fight Vasquez. Obviously, it was a good fight, and Mick Conlon was fighting Lee Wood for the world title, so to put another Irish guy on it would have been good for Eddie's show. But he just gave me an opportunity. I wasn't signed with them, and like I said, I took it as a trial. I had to impress. I had to show what I can do, and I only had 10 3-minute rounds to do that, and thankfully I did that. I put in a big performance against Vasquez. I believe when the biggest pressure, the best performers perform under the biggest pressure. So I believe that's what I do when the pressure's on, and when the fights get bigger and the names get bigger. That's when I put in the big performances, and I've been proving that over the last couple of years. So
yeah, I mean, although Vasquez isn't quite in his prime anymore, he was thought by most people to have done enough to beat O'Hara Davis when he was here, Lewis Ritson, and you got rid of him quicker than anyone has, including Josh Taylor. You must be pretty proud of that.
Yeah, it was a funny one. He was the best thing in the world when he beat when he came over here and got robbed against Ritson. He was the best thing in the world, and same against O'Hara Davis. And then when I did what I did to him, then he was washed all of a sudden. But it's funny. But yeah, look, he's past his prime. I'm no fool either. I know that he wasn't the Vasquez that he was maybe 5 or 6 years prior to that. But look, he's a former world champion. He was very, very experienced, and he was brought in as a step up to me, and he was a step up in class, step up in experience also. So I still had to go in and do what I did to him, and yeah.
And then you signed with Matchroom not long after that. Your debut lasted, what, 53 seconds? So
even less, maybe. I think 35 seconds I've seen.
35. I've got the numbers the wrong way around. But yeah, but I mean, that's very impressive. You can't have asked for a better debut with a new promoter than that.
Yeah, for sure. It was again, it was one of them times where I signed up Matchroom. There was a bit of hype about me, and then I got the opportunity to fight on Katie's card, on the undercard of Katie in London on October 29th, and then to fly over an undefeated guy, Joad Belmedi from France as well, was French champion at the time. So there was a bit of pressure on there again, I guess. But like I said, I believe I'm built for the big nights and the bright lights. So when the pressure's on me, that's when I perform my best, and I showed that again against Joad Belmedi. That's a couple of step ups that I've had now over the past 3-4 years when the pressure's on, or they're so-called 50-50 fights. That's when I show up and put in my best performances.
And we've seen, obviously, you've signed the extension with Matchroom. It's got a lot of publicity. Cole Frampton was the big Irish star on the male side not too long ago. He's now retired. How aware of you of that opportunity to kind of fill that void, be the standard bearer on the men's side for Irish boxing?
I think we've been crying out for the last couple of years. Since Carl retired, and obviously Carl and Mick are doing their thing, but they're Belfast, which is they're probably an hour and a half, 2 hours from me. We're all Ireland, but they're Dublin and Belfast is quite far away. Like, so Dublin haven't had a star since the Bernard Dunn days, which is probably 15 years ago. I remember going to them shows as a kid in the Tree Arena. It was called the Point Depot at the time. So we haven't had a star in Dublin since then, and we've been crying out for it. We're crying out for big time boxing to come home back to Dublin. We've had boxing in Belfast for the last couple of years, but nothing has been at home in Dublin. So for Matchroom to see that I think star potential in me, and I've always believed I've had it, and I always believed I would be the one to fill the void. And now here we are. I've got a massive opportunity on my hands where I can be the next star to come out of Ireland. We've obviously seen Conor do it with the MMA in the last couple of years, but again, he's probably coming towards the end of his career if he's not finished his career now. So I believe I'm the next one for to carry the flag for Ireland on the world stage.
Now, we know we haven't seen big time pro boxing in the southern part of Ireland in a long time now, but there's a lot of talk about Katie Taylor's rematch with Amanda Serrano. I know you said in the press release you want to be on that card as well at Croke Park. How certain from your talks with Matchroom, with Eddie, are you that it's going to take place this year?
Yeah, just from what I've seen, like everybody else has seen, it looks like it's going ahead. It looks like it's going to happen. So I remember a couple of months ago hearing it was like it felt like an idea at the time. Whereas now, the more and more time passes by, it's getting closer and closer to being made, and it still actually hasn't. I haven't got my head around our process yet that it actually is going to happen. It looks like it's actually going to happen. It just feels like a bit of a dream or a bit of an idea that's still floating about, because it will be absolutely huge for not only for me and for Katie, but for Ireland as a country, and for boxing, for women's sport, for everything. It's a massive event. So yeah, if it comes off, it's going to be huge, and hopefully, fingers crossed, like I said, it's going to get across the line, and I'll have a big fight in that card.
Now, you signed with Matchroom, as we said, last year. Incredible debut performance. Why was there a need for an extension to the deal so soon into it?
I think Matchroom wanted to map out a long-term future for me. I think, like I said, I said in an interview yesterday that there's nobody better in the world at picking out a star than Eddie Hearn. So I think once I got my debut with him, I put in that big performance. I showed what I can do, and I think he's seen the potential that I have, and what I can go on to do. So they obviously wanted to map out a roadmap for the next, not 6 to 8 months, but the next 16 to 18 months, or the next whatever that may be. So yeah, I think they believed in what I've always been trying to sell, and they've bought into it, and they believe, like I have always believed, that I can become a world champion, and now they want to come on board and move me towards that direction. So yeah, it's a massive opportunity for me, and I'm delighted to get over the line, obviously.
What has Eddie said to you directly when you've spoken to him about what he thinks about you and your future prospects?
I think he sees, after, obviously we can say we're looking at going back to Croke Park with Katie in May, but after that, prior to that, I believe that I've always believed that I can be a star in my own home country, in my own home first, and start to sell out arenas over in back home in Dublin. So I'd like to hit the Tree Arena at the back end of 2023. Me and Eddie have spoke about that, coming back to Ireland again after. Yeah, I wanna go back and build my name, build my profile, and build my fan base back home in Dublin first. And that's been a big dream of mine and a big plan of mine. So myself and Eddie have spoke about that, and I think we can go back and start filling arenas myself towards the back end of 2023. Before we, obviously, the division is on fire at the moment, but all the big names at 135 are over across the pond in America. So I believe 2023 is the year to build my name and build my fan base, I suppose, back at home. And then by the start of 2024, I'm ready to bring my country and my people over to America for some big nights.
And what's Eddie said about you personally? Like, what does he think of you? Why has he signed you to this extension? What's he said about you?
I think he believes I can become a world champion. I think he's been sold the idea for quite a while. I know people in the boxing circles have been getting in his ear for probably probably the last 3 to 4 years. I remember texting Eddie when I was on a Matchroom card, my second pro fight, and saying, I was opening the show, get down, I want to impress. And I think people have been in his ear for the last couple of years, and it just took him to see me, I think, live to buy into what I've been selling, like I said. And I think now he's seen what I can do, and he believes that I can become a world champion and a star in Ireland and a star across the boxing world. So yeah.
What did you text him after before that second fight?
I said, get down. I'm opening the show today. I know you probably won't be coming down to the show early, but I'm opening the show and I want to impress you. So if you get a chance to come down. And he ended up texting me back then, saying that he'd been down at the show, so he seen me open the show.
And he was impressed.
So yeah, we've been going back since then. I've been trying to get this Matchroom deal since then, like, you know. So that's going back 5 years since I first turned over. I've been pushing, and I remember tagging Eddie and stuff, and tagging Matchroom and trying to get it over the line. And it was a big thing for me to get it over the line last August.
How does it feel then to have been chasing Eddie and Matchroom for all that time, and now they're chasing you for an extension already? That must feel pretty good.
Yeah, it's yesterday I felt on top of the world. I won't lie. I've had a couple of days now. Obviously, I've known about this for maybe a week or two before it's been announced. So I've been feeling on top of the world. Obviously, I've been putting in hard work and putting in big performances, but to start to see it all come to life and see all my plans and what my goals were start to come to fruition, it's big. But I've only got the opportunities now. You know, I've not done anything yet, or I've started to do what I want to do, but I haven't achieved anything yet. So I've got my foot in the door, but I've got a long way to go as well, you know.
And you're aiming for the top of that division, 135 pounds. There's a big fight taking place there this weekend with Gervonta Davis against Hector Luis Garcia, with the hope that he will then go on, if he wins, to face Ryan Garcia. What do you make of Tank and that plan for him, those next two?
Yeah, I think him and Ryan is obviously a huge fight. he's obviously opted to take a fight first with the calling tune-ups. I don't see Hector Luis Garcia as a tune-up fight. I think he's 16-0. He's obviously coming up weight from super featherweight, but I believe he held the belt down there at one stage too. So there's no such thing as a tune-up against a guy like that, you know. So, but it's a fight that I expect Gervonta to win, and I think that he should win, and he will win. I think he'll get the stoppage in the later rounds. He tends to start quite slow at times, and he comes on strong then in the second half of the fight. So I see him getting the stoppage in the second half of the fight and going on to that mega fight then with Ryan Garcia. And I think they're talking about April, that's a huge fight.
And then obviously I've got to ask you, if that fight, I mean, you're predicting Gervonta will come through the fight at the weekend. Who wins between him and KINGRY?
Yeah, I haven't really put much thought into that, you know. I think first off, when you said it there, I'm leaning towards Gervonta, but like they're both very, very dangerous. I think Ryan is a little bit more vulnerable defensively, but they're both attacking wise, they're both very, very explosive, and they can both knock each other out. So I think Gervonta is a little bit more secure in his defense than Ryan Garcia is, but it's an interesting fight and it's a huge fight. I think we need to see more of it especially in the 135 division, because we've got so many big names knocking around the division, and nobody has really been fighting each other for quite a while. But it's the first time that we've seen it in a while, so I think we need more of it for sure.
How far away do you feel from that sort of level, either in terms of number of fights or number of years, whatever it might be?
I think 12 months. I think 2023 is the year I'll get out nice and early in the year, get active, get some rounds under my belt, and hopefully get a big fight against a big name on the Croke Park bill. Like I said, fingers crossed that goes ahead, and plan on going back to the Tree Arena then in Dublin, say come October, November time, and headlining my own show back there, getting that experience. So it's just about experience builders. Fighting in front of a stadium fight in front of 80,000 Irish will be massive. That's a massive experience and something that you need going into the mega fights. And then headlining my own show back in Dublin obviously is another one of them things that it's a box ticked off the list, you know. So I think by the end of 2023, realistically going into 2024, I'm ready to embark on that American journey and go overseas and take on some big names over there.
Who were kind of your boxing heroes or influences or whatever when you were first coming up, when you first got into the sport?
My first one was Prince Nassim Hamid. I used to get in trouble in my amateur club for sticking out my tongue when I was sparring at kids. Probably as a 7 or 8 year old kid, mad. But him and Floyd Mayweather, I remember the first big fight I would have probably watched is Mayweather and Hatton, the lead up to that. So that was the first time I seen the camaraderie, I seen how brash and how confident Mayweather was, and I always bought into that, and I always liked that kind of personality and that style. So yeah, that's who I would have grown up watching. And Paul Williams, obviously, also Paul the Punisher Williams. I'm not sure if you've you've seen 147. I think he was 147 and 154. He's 6'1" maybe. Won a couple of world titles, and he had a great career as well. So I used to base a lot of my stuff off him. He used to throw 1,000 punches in a 12-round fight. So he was very exciting as well. So I used to base a lot of my style off him growing up too.
Yeah, I used to love Paul Williams. I actually watched Hatton Mayweather, the fight you're talking about, in Belfast, because I was covering a John Duddy fight at the King's Hall.
No way.
It was the same night.
Was it? Yeah, it was 2006, I'm sure, yeah? Maybe 2008.
2008, I think it was.
Yeah,
no, it would have been earlier, maybe 2007. But yeah, John Duddy fought Howard Eastman that night at the King's Hall, and then we went to the Balmoral Hotel afterwards to watch the big fight in the early hours.
Yeah, there's no place like Belfast to watch some big time boxing.
Except
some good nights up there myself. Except for Dublin, exactly. Except for Dublin, I've had some big nights in Belfast, but I think a couple of nights in Dublin, there's nothing that can compare to the Dublin crowd for sure.
Tell us a little bit about your life outside the gym and outside the ring. Have you got a family of your own yet? What do you get up to when you're not training?
Do you know what? I kind of live in the gym. All my mates are in the gym. My best mate owns the gym, and he's my coach as well. He's been with me since I've been like 12 or 13 years of age. He owns the gym, so that's where all my friends are at. That's where I hang out. And then my missus, she works in the gym too, would you believe, as well. So I met her 3 or 4 years ago, and I introduced her to the gym, and she became friends with everybody and started working down there too. So between the gym and just being at home chilling with my missus, I live a quite quiet life. Don't drink, don't go out. So yeah, I do a lot of yoga, to be honest with you. I started my yoga journey maybe 18 months, 2 years ago, just to get more flexible and see where I could go from boxing wise. And I just fell in love with it, and I'm on a journey with yoga. So all my spare time is either spent doing yoga or spent watching boxing, or I like to cook now and again as well. So but yeah, I live a quite I say I live a quite boring life, to be honest. But it's what helps me. It's what I enjoy doing, and it's what helps me to stay focused. So.
And yoga's obviously become a passion in its own right, but have you noticed any translation between those skills and your boxing?
Just from mindset, to be honest with you, my missus has been giving out to me a little bit because it's hot yoga. The yoga I do is hot yoga, and she says if I come from doing 2 sessions in the gym a day, and then I go to yoga in the evening, she considers it a third session because it's quite hard, to be honest, physically. And she's saying you're training too much. You're doing 3 sessions a day, but to me, it's like it's an hour to switch off, and it's like I said, I've embarked on a journey with it now, and it's seeing what my body can do and what I can do with my breath and what I can do with my mind and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm loving that, and I think it's helped to calm me, I think, from boxing wise. Obviously, getting older as well kind of helps. I'm not as I used to be I don't know, very, very hyper, I suppose. But I'm calming down as I'm getting a little bit older. But I think yoga has helped an awful lot as well to be calmer and to just to get to know myself a little bit more, I think.
Oh, great stuff. Now, before I let you go, I saw on the press release, I hadn't noticed this before, but your nickname's the Diva. Who gave you that nickname and why?
That was Lee Eaton. Lee Eaton and Ian Ritchie back in the day. Maybe that could have been maybe five or six, I believe. Do you know what? It was just a joke. Lee said one day I was acting like a diva because anything on fight week, anything that you need, you go to Lee. Yeah, so maybe I was kind of giving him a bit of a headache. I could have given him maybe 1 or 2 phone calls too many, but he was calling me a diva, and then I made a joke saying that there was no walk-in wardrobe in my hotel room, that I wasn't happy. And then I just said, look, next fight week I'm coming with a fight kit with the diva on it. They're going to be pink shorts, and I'm going to show up with the diva on it, and I did, and it stuck. People seem to like it. People are buying into it, and it's kind of a running joke at the minute because in the gym I always say I'm the complete opposite of a diva. I like things to be done to a certain standard, and I hold high standards of myself. And if you're training with me, I'll hold high standards of you as well. Of the team, I hold. I think to get to the top of any sport, you need to hold high standards. But when it comes to training, I get into the gym and I get down to work, and I like to get my head down and get into the work. So I'm kind of the opposite of a diva. I don't really talk too much when I'm in the gym, but yeah, it's good. People enjoy it. People are liking it, so we'll stick with it for now.
Good stuff. Just let people know how they can find you on the different social media platforms.
Yeah, Gary Cully on Instagram, Boxer Cully on Twitter, and I'm also jumping on YouTube this week. My first YouTube is coming out this weekend. I'm doing a Q&A. It's Diva TV. So if anybody wants to follow my journey, see more training videos or recovery, what I eat, all that kind of stuff, just vlogging the day-to-day stuff, I'll be over on there as well on Diva TV. So
you've done well to get that Diva TV. I'm surprised someone hadn't already snapped it up.
Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't taken. So I need to trademark it now.
Yeah, that's the next step before anyone watches this, ideally. Brilliant, mate. I really appreciate your time. I know you've done a lot of these over the last couple of days, but it's been good to get to know you a bit better. And let's do it again before your next fight.
100%. I appreciate your time, pal, as always. Thank you. All of us boxers would be nowhere without you guys either, giving us the platform. So yeah, thank you for that as well.